All right, let's dive into the story of Snow White and Rose Red. It's a really fascinating tale, you know? It's all about how these two totally different sisters, a mysterious bear and this really nasty dwarf, end up showing us something pretty profound about the nature of kindness. So, yeah, we've got kindness, a pretty terrible curse, and a secret that's literally hidden inside a bearskin coat. The whole thing kicks off in this little, humble cottage, but don't let that peaceful setting fool you for a second. This story takes a turn and fast. We're talking about a magical conflict that's going to push the idea of compassion to its absolute limit. Okay, so first up, two sisters, two roses. Let's get to know our heroines and their seemingly perfect life. So, the heart of our story is these two sisters, and they're actually named after the two rose trees right outside their cottage, which is a nice touch. And man, are they opposites. You've got Snow White, who's the quiet, gentle one, and then there's Rose Red, who's just bursting with energy, totally bold and lively. But they work, you know? They live this simple, really happy life with their mom right on the edge of a huge forest. And you can totally see how good-hearted they are just by looking at the world around them. It's like the forest itself just trusts them. Wild animals, they come right up to them, no fear at all. A rabbit will eat right out of their hands. It's incredible. There's even this one wild detail where some kind of shining angelic figure supposedly guarded them while they slept near a cliff so they wouldn't fall. I mean, their whole world is just steeped in this deep, almost magical kind of peace. All right, a stranger in the snow. So, of course, that idyllic peace, it's not going to last. Summer fades, a really brutal winter rolls in, and then a knock at the door changes everything. Literally, forever. Okay, so picture this, right? A blizzard is just howling outside. The sisters open their door, and this massive black bear just shoves its head inside. I mean, talk about terrifying. But then he speaks, and his voice is so gentle. All he says is he's freezing and needs to get warm. And that simple request just completely cuts through any fear they had. And just like that, the bear becomes a regular. They let him in, they brush the snow off his fur, and he just curls up by the fire. He comes back every single night. In fact, they get so used to him, they don't even lock the door until they know he's safely inside. He's not a stranger anymore. He's family. But then spring comes around, and the bear tells them he has to go. He has to spend the summer guarding his treasure from thieves. So as he's squeezing out the door for the last time, his fur gets snagged on the bolt and rips. And in that split second, Snow White catches a glimpse of something underneath, something glittering. It looks just like gold. But before she can even process it, poof, he's gone, leaving this huge mystery behind. So, the ungrateful dwarf. Not long after our bear friend leaves, the sisters run into a very different character. And this guy is going to put their kindness to the absolute test. So they're out gathering firewood, and they stumble upon this little man with this super long white beard, and it's completely stuck in a split tree trunk. He's screaming for help, but the second they get close to him, he just starts laying into them, insulting them. Like, are you blind? Can you believe it? Right off the bat, you see exactly who this guy is. Just pure rage and entitlement. And a pretty clear pattern starts to show up. 3 different times, they find this dwarf in some kind of trouble, and 3 times, they save his skin. First, from the tree, right? They cut his beard free, and he just grabs a bag of gold and stomps off without a word of thanks. The second time, his beard's tangled in a fishing line about to be pulled in by a huge fish. They save him, and he just screeches at them for ruining his beard before grabbing his pearls and running. The third time, an eagle's got him. They rescue him, and what does he do? Complains about his torn coat before snatching his precious stones. I mean, this guy is the definition of ungrateful. It's almost comical. Okay, so this all leads to a curse being broken. We're at the final confrontation. This is where everyone, the sisters, the dwarf, and a certain furry friend, are all going to come face to face one last time. So the sisters find the dwarf in a clearing, just gloating over all his treasure. And of course, he immediately starts yelling at them for looking. But just then, who should show up? Their old friend, the bear. The dwarf is absolutely terrified. And what does he do? He makes this disgusting offer. He tells the bear to take the treasure, to take the girls, just spare his life. Can you believe the cowardice? He literally tries to trade their lives for his. The bear doesn't even hesitate, doesn't even think about the offer. He just ignores the dwarf's pathetic whining, raises one paw, and with a single strike, it's over. Just like that, the wicked dwarf is gone. Now, the sisters are obviously horrified by what they just saw, so they turn to run. But then, they hear a voice they know calling their names. They turn back around, and as the big black bear walks towards them, something truly impossible starts to happen. The bearskin, it just starts to fall away. And this is the moment. What was hidden is revealed. The reward for all their virtue is about to come to light. The bearskin just pools on the ground. And standing there, where the bear was a second ago, is a handsome man, a prince, dressed from head to toe in gold. It was him the whole time. So the prince explains the whole curse. That wicked little dwarf had stolen his royal treasure and used its magic to trap him in the form of a bear. And the only way to break the spell, well, the dwarf had to die. Suddenly, it all makes sense, right? The treasure he had to guard, why he disappeared for the summer, and why he had to deal with the dwarf once and for all. And from there, you get the classic fairy tale ending. Snow White marries the prince, and it turns out he has a brother who marries Rose Red. The vast treasure is shared, of course, and their mother gets to live the rest of her life in peace, with those 2 rose trees, one white, one red, always blooming right outside her window. A perfect circle. And that's the final image the story leaves us with, that cottage bright with love and roses. You know, it's such a powerful idea, isn't it? That simple, everyday kindness, the kind you give without ever expecting anything back, can be strong enough to break the darkest curses, strong enough to make the whole world bloom again.